My husband of 16 years left me for my best friend. They built a perfect life while I rebuilt myself from nothing. Years later, the woman who destroyed my marriage stood on my porch, with nowhere else to go. My name is Elena Harper. For 16 years I believed I had built something unbreakable, a marriage, a home, a life carefully stitched together with quiet routines, shared laughter, and the kind of small, everyday promises that feel like glue. My husband Daniel was the steady one. Tall, soft-spoken, excellent with numbers, even better with the kind of quiet reassurances that made you feel safe. My best friend Mara was the bright one, quick-witted, fearless, always the first to suggest a spontaneous road trip, a bottle of wine on a random Tuesday, or a midnight drive just to see the stars. The three of us had been inseparable since our second year of college. People used to smile and say we were the kind of trio that would grow old together, sitting on a porch somewhere warm, trading the same stories we'd told 1,000 times before. I never saw the fracture coming. Not really. It began in fragments so small I could pretend they didn't exist. Daniel started working late more often, real late, the kind where the streetlights were already on when he finally walked through the door. Mara began dropping by the house unannounced with coffee and excuses about needing some girl time, even on days when I was stuck at the office until 8. His phone would light up at dinner and he'd smile in a way he hadn't smiled at me in months, soft, private, almost shy. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, the classic jealous wife cliché. I told myself 14 years of marriage doesn't simply dissolve because of a few missed dinners and lingering glances. Then came the Thursday in mid-October. I had flown home early from a work conference in Chicago, mechanical delay, rescheduled flight, one of those small strokes of luck that sometimes change everything. I walked into our house at 4:17 p.m. The air smelled like Mara's perfume, jasmine and amber, the exact bottle I had bought her for her birthday 2 years earlier because she said it made her feel expensive. I climbed the stairs slowly, telling myself it was probably just my imagination running wild again. I opened the bedroom door. They were in our bed. Not frantic. Not scrambling to cover themselves in panic. Just tangled together, breathing hard, skin against skin, like they had been waiting for this exact moment longer than I had been alive. Daniel's eyes met mine first. There was no shock on his face, only something close to pity, as though he had already rehearsed this scene in his head. Mara didn't look at me at all. She simply pulled the sheet higher over her chest and stared at the ceiling fan turning lazily above us. I stood there for what felt like forever but was probably only 10 seconds. Daniel spoke first. "Elena." I didn't let him finish. I turned and walked downstairs. I sat on the couch in the living room, the same gray sectional we had bought together after our honeymoon, and waited. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just waited. He came down 20 minutes later. One suitcase. A duffel bag over his shoulder. He stood in the doorway looking smaller than I had ever seen him. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I still love you, but I love her more now. I've loved her for a while. I hope someday you'll understand." I didn't answer. I simply nodded once and asked him to leave the house key on the kitchen counter. He did. Mara never came down to say anything. She never said goodbye. She simply vanished from my life the same way she had slipped into his. The first year was a slow-motion car crash. I sold the house 3 months later. Every corner smelled like betrayal, the kitchen island where we used to make breakfast together, the hallway where he used to kiss me good morning, the bedroom where I found them. I couldn't breathe inside those walls anymore. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment above a used bookstore downtown. The smell of old paper and coffee became my new normal. I changed my phone number. I unfollowed them both on every platform. I blocked their families, our mutual college friends, anyone who might accidentally feed me updates. I went to therapy twice a week for 8 months until my therapist gently told me I didn't need to keep punishing myself for trusting the wrong people. I started running before dawn, 5 miles every morning, rain or snow, until my lungs burned and my mind went quiet. I took up pottery even though my hands shook for the first 6 months and every bowl came out lopsided. I rebuilt slowly, piece by jagged piece, the way you rebuild a house after a fire. Daniel and Mara moved to Portland. They got married in a small ceremony on the Oregon coast, driftwood arch, barefoot, golden hour photos. I found out through a mutual acquaintance who thought I should know. I thanked her politely and never spoke to her again. They had a daughter 2 years later. A son the year after that. Photos occasionally slipped through the cracks of the internet, smiling faces, a golden retriever, a renovated craftsman house with hydrangeas in the front yard, family vacations in places we once talked about visiting together when we were 22 and believed the future was wide open. I stopped looking. I trained myself not to look. Time passed. I met someone new. His name is Caleb. He's a history professor at the local university, wire-rimmed reading glasses, slightly disorganized bookshelves, a laugh that starts low in his chest and builds until it fills the room. He doesn't try to fix me. He doesn't ask endless questions about Daniel or Mara. He simply sits with me when the memories surface, makes me tea, and waits until I'm ready to talk. We've been together 4 years now. We live in a small craftsman house on a quiet street, smaller than the old one, but completely ours. There are books stacked on every surface and plants he keeps forgetting to water. There are late-night talks on the porch swing. There are Sunday mornings when we cook breakfast together and no one is in a hurry. It's not perfect. It's better than perfect. It's real. Then came the Tuesday in late March. The doorbell rang at 3:42 p.m. I was alone. Caleb was giving a guest lecture across town. I opened the door expecting a delivery driver or maybe the neighbor's kid selling cookies. Mara stood on my porch. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her hair was shorter now, unevenly cut, streaked with gray she hadn't bothered to cover. Her coat was too thin for the sharp spring wind. Her eyes were red-rimmed and swollen, the same way they used to look after she cried over a bad breakup in college. She clutched a faded canvas tote bag against her chest like it was the only thing holding her together. "Elena," she said. Her voice cracked on the second syllable. I didn't move. I didn't invite her in. I didn't slam the door in her face. I just stood there, feeling the cold air curl around my ankles and the old ache bloom somewhere deep in my chest. She swallowed hard. "I know I have no right to be here. I know you hate me. God, I would hate me too. I've hated myself for years. But I didn't know where else to go. I waited." She looked down at her scuffed boots, then forced herself to meet my eyes again. "Daniel left me 3 weeks ago. He said he was done. Said he'd been unhappy for a long time. Said he needed space to figure out who he was without all of us. He took the kids to his sister's place in Seattle the same day he told me. He filed for divorce the next morning. He drained the joint account before I even knew he was gone. Everything. Savings. Emergency fund. Everything. The house is in foreclosure. I can't pay the lawyer. I can't pay the electric bill. I can't pay anything. I'm sleeping on my cousin's couch in a 1-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from here and she's starting to drop hints that it's time for me to find somewhere else. She gave a small, bitter laugh that sounded more like a sob. Ironic, isn't it? I took everything from you. I took your husband. Your future. Your trust. And now I'm the one standing on your doorstep begging for help. I still didn't speak. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other. I'm not asking for money. Not really. I need a job. Any job. I saw on LinkedIn that your company is hiring project coordinators. I know I have no right to ask you for a recommendation. I know you probably want to watch me burn. But I remember how good I was at organizing things. I remember how we used to stay up until 3 in the morning making plans for events, for trips, for stupid little projects. I was good, Elena. Before I ruined everything. I was really good. Her voice broke completely then. Tears spilled over and ran down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. She just stood there crying quietly, like she had finally run out of ways to hide. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I wake up every single day knowing what I did to you. To us. To the friendship we had since we were 19. I told myself it was love. I told myself you'd be okay. I told myself you were strong enough to survive it. I told myself 1,000 lies so I could look in the mirror and not hate the person staring back. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Silence stretched between us. The wind rattled the porch swing. Somewhere down the street a dog barked. A car passed slowly. I finally spoke. Why now? She blinked, confused. What? Why come to me now? After all this time. After you built a whole new life on the ashes of mine. After you had children. After you posted pictures of your perfect family while I was picking up the pieces. Why not go to your parents? Your sister? Your old college friends? Anyone else? She looked at me like the answer was obvious and devastating at the same time. Because you're the only person who ever really saw me. Even after I hurt you. Even after I left. Even after I pretended you didn't exist. You're the only one who might still believe, somewhere deep down, that I could be more than the worst thing I ever did. I let her words hang in the air. Then I stepped back. Come inside, I said. It's cold out here. She hesitated, like she didn't trust the kindness. Honestly, I didn't entirely trust it either. I made tea. Chamomile, the kind she used to drink when she was anxious before exams or big presentations. We sat at the kitchen island. She wrapped both hands around the mug and didn't drink. Steam rose between us. I don't know if I can give you a job at my company, I told her. That would be complicated. For me. For my team. For Caleb. For the peace I've worked so hard to build. She nodded quickly, eyes down. I understand. I really do. But, I continued, I can make some calls. I know people at smaller firms. Nonprofits. Marketing agencies. Places that need organizers and project managers. I can forward your resume if it's clean and you're willing to start at entry level. No special favors. No shortcuts. Her eyes filled again. You do that? I'm not doing it for you, I said quietly. I'm doing it because I don't want to carry hate around anymore. It's heavy. It's exhausting. And I'm tired of being tired. She cried then, quietly, shoulders shaking, tears dripping onto the countertop. I didn't hug her. I didn't tell her it was okay. I simply sat there until she was finished. When she finally stood to leave, she paused at the front door. Elena, thank you. Even if nothing comes of it. Even if you never want to see me again. Thank you for not turning me away today. I looked at her, really looked. The girl I used to tell everything. The woman who broke my heart into pieces so small I thought they'd never fit back together. The stranger standing in my hallway with red eyes and a canvas tote bag. Don't thank me yet, I said. Thank me if you actually change. If you show up for your kids. If you pay your own bills. If you stop running from the wreckage you made. If you become someone your daughter and son can be proud of. That's when you can thank me. She nodded, throat working. I will. I swear. I closed the door behind her. I stood there a long time, listening to her footsteps fade down the walkway, listening to the wind move through the trees. Later that evening Caleb came home. I told him everything, every word, every pause, every tear. He listened without interrupting. When I finished he pulled me close and rested his chin on top of my head. You didn't owe her anything, he said softly. I know. But you gave her something anyway. I closed my eyes against his shoulder. I gave her a chance, I said. Not forgiveness. Not friendship. Not even understanding. Just a chance. He kissed the top of my head. That's more than most people would have done. I don't know what Mara will do with that chance. I don't know whether she'll call when I send her the job leads. I don't know whether she'll disappear again, or whether she'll finally stop running long enough to face herself in the mirror. I don't know if she'll rebuild or if she'll collapse. What I do know is this. I'm not the woman she left behind anymore. I'm not the woman who begged Daniel to stay. I'm not the woman who spent years wondering what she did wrong, what she lacked, why she wasn't enough. I built something new. Something solid. Something that doesn't collapse the moment someone walks away. And maybe, just maybe, watching Mara stand on my porch, asking for help with nothing left to offer in return, was the very last piece I needed to finally let the past go. Not because she deserved it. But because I did. I deserved peace. I deserved to stop carrying the weight of their choices. I deserved to wake up in the morning and feel light instead of hollow. And for the first time in years, I do.
If you were in Elena's shoes, would you have helped Mara, or walked away? Let me know what you would do. I'm really curious.